This video has one main goal. This is my Red Bull nicotine patch, by the way. I'm not gonna tell you what it is though, because they don't pay me. But like YouTubers, content creators, streamers, whatever, you've looked at your camera angle, you've looked at your shot, and you've been like, what does this need? It needs something. I'm like that every day, by the way, all the time. It's why my shot is never the same. I'm on a constant journey to find the shot. And I've watched far too many videos about this, and I've learned a lot along the way. I wanna give you 5 creative prompts, creative camera ideas that might spark some experimentation with your next YouTube video, your next piece of content, whatever you're shooting. Rattle the old brain, get you out of the rhythm, get you trying something new. Let's see if by the end of this video, you've got one thing that you wanna try that maybe you didn't think of before. Cool? Let's try it. Dustin, I'm texting you right now. You're editing a video while I'm texting you during the video. How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel like you're one of my crazy ex-girlfriends. Just won't leave me alone.
First, I want to thank owned.tv for being your one-stop shop for all your stream, overlay, and alert needs. Is your live stream not looking as pretty as you want it to look? Well, maybe check out owned.tv and see if you can spruce that thing up a little bit. Check out some of my favorites here. We got Iridos, which is a wonderful color scheme. We got kawaii cats for all you cuties out there. Kawaii is Japanese for cute, if you didn't know that, by the way. Now you do. Even some game-branded designs like Vivid that's designed for League of Legends. Oh, also I like the Chromatic series. I don't know if I've talked about that one before. I feel like every time I open this up, I'm like, ooh, that's a cool new one. Yeah, check out the Chromatic series. That one's nice. Pick yourself up some 50% off overlays and alerts or whatever you need, banners, panels, it's all in there. Link down below. Thank you, Owned. Let's just jump right into it. No fluff here, and if you appreciate that, hit the like button down below. But does that make it fluff? Did we add fluff by talking about no fluff? Number 1, let's talk about depth. Adderall's not doing its job today. I used to always pick the camera angle with the most depth behind me, the most space in the room. I was pushed up almost against the wall to get that shot, no matter where I was. And there was always 2 things I wanted to accomplish by doing that. First, the further back, the more out of focus it is. You get that blurry background look. It's got that like cinematic. I don't like using the word cinematic, but it fits here because I'm putting quotes around it, so that makes it okay. But second, I felt like having a large space or even exaggerating the large space gave a little bit of a prestigious vibe to my channel. I thought it made people feel like what I was doing was professional. Like every viewer is going, oh, look at all that space he has behind him. He must be really successful. But the more I've done that, the more my shots have just started to feel flat. Because I don't have anything close to me, I can't really give it proper decoration. It's a big, blurry decoration rather than specific elements that I can place there intentionally. Like these little lights or the little fake plastic bonsai tree. I love that thing. It was on Amazon. It was like $8. If you're a culprit of that and you tend to go for deep shots, but you don't really like them, try bringing the background in a little bit closer and try widening your lens a little bit. That wide lens will still give you a bit of separation between you and your background while showing off a little bit of context of the way you've decorated it. This, for example, is a 24mm lens, and I'm at about f1.8. I've found that my 2 favorite background depths and lens combinations are a close background with a wide lens, maybe anywhere from 16 to 24mm, or a deep background with a more narrow lens, something like a 35 to a 50mm. In fact, a recent video that we shot was shot on a 35mm with the camera a little bit further away and the background a little bit further away, and it looked really nice. A very different, I would say less intimate vibe than this one because I've got a wider lens and I'm sitting a lot closer. Can I say before we move on to number 2 that I also really like with this close shot, how much easier it is to get a symmetrical shot, which brings us to number 2, symmetry. Symmetry is like that graph of the uncanny valley, where as you get more and more symmetrical, the shot looks better and better until you're just almost symmetrical and the shot looks terrible. Like if your camera is like 1 degree off, it looks like you were trying to get symmetrical and you just missed it. And it's when I'm watching those videos, it's all I see is like, oh, you were just barely off. If you've never tried a straight on symmetrical shot, I would recommend you give it a shot. Find an area where either the side walls match, if you can see the side walls, or a wall where you can decorate behind you and have like a flat symmetrical shot like this one. And by the way, I'm aware that this wall behind me is technically not symmetrical, like this line not being directly behind my head. I know that. We're just talking about the angles today. I should make this shot more symmetrical next time. Wes Anderson is a film producer that is famous for using symmetrical shots in his movies, and there's just something about it that scratches a part of your brain that you didn't realize was there. Something about it makes the shot look so intentional and powerful, and I'm I'm here for it. This is the first video I've shot with this angle. I want to shoot them all like this now. Let's move on to number 3, something I know all of you have been guilty of at some point, if not still guilty of today. I was until last week, so no shame here. Let's talk about your depth of field and tell me if you relate to this. You just got your first big boy camera, you got your first nice lens, you finally have that fast 1.8, 1.4 aperture you've been wanting for forever, and you crank that thing down as fast as you can, and that's the only way you shoot. Why would you use that aperture any smaller? You paid for the big. You want to use the big. Background blur is a beautiful thing. I understand the addiction, but once you get it, it becomes the default for a lot of people, and it starts to become a crutch. You don't know how to properly utilize that depth of field to fit your environment. And if you blur that background too much, sometimes you blur everything that makes you unique. Now you can't share what's behind you. You can't share your personality. You can't share your set. You are just a person in front of a big old Gaussian blur behind you. I'd recommend an exercise. Find a corner in your room, a wall, whatever. Throw some stuff on it that makes you feel like you, that you want to share with people. Think of it as bumper stickers, but for your YouTube videos, right? Then mess with your aperture and find the place where the blur is there enough that you're separated, that you still stand off the background, but people can still see some of the details back there and get to know you a little bit. Once you find that spot, adjust everything else. This will also help you get creative with your lighting. You're gonna learn to make yourself pop off your background without forcing the background to become mush. I've got some f1.8, f1.4 lenses. I've started stopping them down to f3. And I found that I really like it. Try it. Number 4, this one's a hard one, but it's also a doozy. Let's talk about lighting, because we've all learned that 3-point lighting system. And once we learn it, that's all we use. You got that key light, right? Your main light that's like maybe 30 degrees over, so you're getting that Rembrandt lighting. Then you got your edge light to hit your edges. That's 180 degrees off your key light. And then if you want, you got a fill light in there just to get those shadows brightened up a little bit. So we all do all the time. Let me actually move some of these. Let me make some changes here. Dustin, while I'm adjusting this, if you want to get like creative with the coloring to like match the creativity of the lighting, I think that might be really cool. What if you tried side lighting just from one side, and then you either didn't fill in the other side or kept the fill really low to give it a little bit more edge? Look how edgy I am. I feel like I should start a band right now. This would be my album cover. I don't know what that face was. If you have a large enough window, try sitting in front of it at a little bit of an angle for super diffused natural light, for like a natural cozy feel. Or maybe you're shooting something a little bit more emotional, something a little bit more raw. Try short lighting, where you light the far side of your face rather than the close side and get a little bit more of a grittier look. Oh man, those lighting ones take way too long. But let's end on a high note. Number 5 is a banger. It's very specific, but also very general. I'm not even gonna unpack that sentence. Let's just jump into it. We have a tendency as content creators to do things the way that they are done, whatever the current fad is, right? Whoever's on top, we do those things. When oftentimes doing the exact opposite is not only okay, but it's actually really cool and stands out and makes you unique and memorable. For example, we know that the microphone is a piece of equipment and it's invasive and it should be barely out of the frame, close as you can to the person, but just barely not visible. Why? I think having the microphone in frame pulls the curtain back a little bit, lets you see how the sausage is made? That's a weird statement, but I think it's unique. I think it looks cool, and I actually get a lot of comments about it. So if number 5 were to be like a send-off, like go out into the world, little birdies, not that I'm like qualified to be a mother bird here or anything, just question the things that are normal to you and experiment on a video. Try something new. It's not always gonna be good. Sometimes it's gonna be really bad, but share that moment with your audience. Have some fun with it. And who knows, you might just start a really cool new trend. So were any of these helpful to you? Which one was the most interesting? Leave it in a comment down below. If you don't have one in particular, just leave your favorite emoji, because engagement. And while you're down there, hit the like button. It's good having you here. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, happy streaming.